My name is Joseph Lucas Harvin III, Corporal, United States Army, Operation Enduring Freedom 2012-2013.
All right, thank you, Joe, and I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me today. So, as you know, the issue of same-sex marriage is a huge issue going on right now. There's a lot of debate over it right now, and I know the courts are trying to decide whether or not we should legalize it. So, first, I just want to start off, do you support same-sex marriage?
As far as the Constitution of the United States is concerned, I believe that you can't have total freedom without having same-sex marriage. Religiously, I may not support it, but I think that the freedoms that have been hard-fought and won, people well deserve such rights.
So I know that you're someone that has served overseas and your job is to defend the Constitution and defend our rights. So you think that it is necessary to have same-sex marriage since we are a country that supports having all freedoms?
I believe that's correct.
And I know that right now there is talk that if same-sex marriage is legalized, that religious schools and churches may be at risk of losing their tax exemptions if they do not support same-sex marriage. Do you think that the government should be allowed to push their ideology on these churches and schools?
I think as far as the law is concerned, when you give private and public, I guess, religious schools and churches and stuff federal funding, I think that the federal government should be able to, mandate and push the laws and keep it constitutional. And I believe that they can remove that funding as they see necessary if the schools aren't following what's been set out before them.
And I know that there's a clear line between separation of church and state, and that's been an issue that has also been discussed over the years. Do you think that if the government does enforce the same-sex marriage law, do you think that that is crossing the line between church and state?
That's a hard question, but I believe that if you're going to make a law, you need to enforce it, and the people are either going to be behind it or against it. And that's the great thing about this country is you can elect officials to do what you see fit in office.
And I know that there's also talk that beyond just losing their tax exemption, if, for example, if a private school that maybe a Methodist school says that they don't support same-sex marriage and they do not want to accept a openly gay student, that there could be some sort of consequence and a fine. Do you agree with this policy?
I totally agree with it. Once again, the federal government has laws that were made, and I've fought to protect those laws, and I believe that, if just because the church doesn't like it doesn't make it right, vice versa, just because the federal government doesn't make it right by church or God or whatever you believe in. It's going to be a hard thing all over, but I think if it's federally mandated, then yes, the church should accept the fine.
And I know that there's also a lot of talk that there really may not be a risk, that maybe this is something that the media is trying to stir up by saying that if it's legalized, it's going to cause all of these issues with churches and schools. Do you personally feel like that they may be at risk, or do you think that this is something that's just being blown up for media attention?
I could see it going both ways, but I will say, in my own experience, the media has affected the way this nation operates. When you look at wars from the Vietnam era all the way up to today, the media has greatly affected what's happened. So I would say that I could see it going both ways, both being good for the media and bad because of the media.
All right, Joe, and I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me today.
Yes, ma'am, you're welcome.